Let's give you a quick overview of what the fertility crisis actually is, and it seems to be largely conducted by this one researcher called Dr. Shanna Swan. The paper is called Temporal Trends in Sperm Count, a Systematic Review and Meta-Regression Analysis. So Dr. Swan published a paper in 2017. It was a meta-analysis, so they looked at 185 different papers themselves over a 50-year period with over 40,000 men. So this was a huge analysis, right? They looked at so many different studies with so many participants just to see the rates. And this one went viral, by the way, because everyone started talking about it. They found through this massive study that men's sperm count and testosterone was dropping by about 1% a year for a total of 59% over the last 50 years. So you've heard that statistic before. Men's sperm count and testosterone has dropped by 50% in the last in the last 50 years, half century. But then they published new data 5 years after their first study, Dr. Swan's group. And it was even more frightening. From the year 2000 and onwards, men's sperm count had dropped by 2.64% every single year. We have an actionable step right now. You need to do this right now. Stand up. Just like I've done, stand up. Don't sit down for longer than a few hours a day. I will link everything below, and so maybe after this video you can watch the bit where Huberman talks about sitting down and your thighs can kind of compress, get closer and closer to your balls and create too much heat. What I've got, which the camera is on right now, is a stand-up desk like that, and it's automatic. I just press one button. Goodbye. You want to see my balls, bro? I'm not wearing any shorts, bro. So I've got a stand-up desk, and for at least a few hours a day I will press this button and it'll rise up, and I'll literally just end up standing here, like air my balls out a bit. And I don't know if I'm just being dramatic, but honestly, like, they told you not to manspread, but it's actually probably healthier for you. There hasn't been a study which I've seen which has shown that someone who manspreads either has higher testosterone and that's why they manspread, or maybe they have higher testosterone because they manspread. You know what I'm talking about, where like you open up your legs, and people online a few years ago used to say that it was like, you know, toxic misogynist or whatever. It turns out that just having your balls warm will actually negatively affect your sperm and even your testosterone. So the actionable step right here, right now, is just to stand up for a part of this video. Maybe the rest of this video, if I get tired, obviously, we'll just sit back down together. But also just to keep that in mind and just to consider, you should probably sit down less. You should probably have your balls heated up less. Stay stood up for the rest of this video. Now, I mentioned before that what we're talking about could be the genuine end of humanity. And I know that that seems really dramatic, but it might not be, because infertility is just one issue inside of perhaps the biggest problem that we're all actually facing right now, which is population collapse. You see, population collapse is when our current generation are not replacing ourselves with children. You know, most people's views on children these days. What do most people think about? They say children are too expensive. Why would you bring a child into this like unhappy world? The world's already overpopulated. These things are all wrong. They're actually all wrong. Oh, I'll just wait till I'm older. But when you're older, the children have a 10 times more likely chance to be disabled. This is what you're thinking, aren't you? Maybe let's say you're, on average, my viewers are 20 years old. You're like 18, 19, 20, 21, right? Your idea is you'll have children in about 5 years, maybe 10 years from now, right? That's what all these red pill guys are telling you. Yeah, wait till you're 40. Yeah, then maybe have children. Go and live your own solo life first. What, bro? What? Tell me what fucking masculine man through any of our generations has ever waited till he was like older? when you see like the top tier men that you look up to, not the modern day fucking influencers who are just fucking like almost like women just, you know, on TikTok and Instagram, like I am, right? This fucking like modern day business. When you think about those old school gentlemen, I'm talking the guys who are now 50, 60, maybe even older, maybe they've passed away. All of them got married and had children at age 18. I say this in so many of my videos. Imagine what your life would have been like if it was just normal to assume that you would have gotten married and had children at 18 years old. Now, you might think, well, I wouldn't have been ready for that, but like, don't add your own bias to it. Imagine that you were literally going through life as a boy, knowing that that's about the time that you would have had children, right? Imagine how much harder you would have worked. You really think you would have had that porn addiction, that video game addiction when you were 10, 11, 12 years old, when you would have known, like, I'm probably going to have a wife like 6, 7 years from now. I'm probably going to have my first child 80 years from now. You would have already been like that 12-year-old who was actually working hard and developing himself rather than just wasting away like a Jeffrey. So like following the new modern world where we're supposed to be little boys for a longer period of time, it hasn't served us well. And so this advice that's given out by influencers like me, by men in my space, that you should be like a solo guy and you should go travel the world, it's feminine, it's disgusting, it's lazy and weak. I think there's one duty for men, which is fatherhood, and to delay that. Now, if you're like, now you might say, oh, but you know, like I'm not rich enough. We'll get into that line of thinking. But if we're delaying it till we're older and older and older, that just means that you've had more years of your life where you didn't actually get to be a father and develop yourself in that area. There's a guy that I really like. He did a podcast with E-Man. So the guy I'm talking about, his name's Sebastian. You can go find him. He's like a finance YouTuber. I think he's got about 1 million followers if you search like Sebastian and E-Man podcast. And Sebastian's like a very base guy. He's rich and everything. And he ended up talking to so E-Man's like almost like the stereotypical red pill kind of guy. Yeah, I'll wait till I'm 35 or 40 till I have children. And I was very pleasantly surprised to hear Sebastian, this other guy who's, you know, this in this space of like young and rich and everything, say like, oh no, like I want to have a big family, so I'm gonna start having children soon. Because no one online is like this type of influencer who's actually telling you that like, yeah, it'd be actually kind of cool to have children. Everyone's saying, yeah, wait and go and live your solo life. Like that to me just sounds so fucking feminine. Go and travel Europe first and go find yourself. Like you have a purpose and a duty to pass on your bloodline. And you're going to wait whilst, like, you've heard some of the things that are happening, which is decreasing your testosterone and your sperm count, and you're just going to wait and wait and wait and wait and give yourself a 20% chance, a 25, 30, 45% chance that you might not even be able to have any children at all. Population collapse, I think, is stemming from this current narrative that having children is a bad thing. That's something that, oh yeah, you know, it's like this foresight of like, yeah, I'll go and travel the world first. I'll go and backpack across Europe. Which that's like something that a little fucking 16-year-old girl might find exciting. I don't know if I'm just different on this, but this idea of like, yeah, go travel and find yourself, I don't like that. I think like go and become successful and then travel for a good reason and not just fucking like hostel to hostel. Like, oh yeah, but you just want to meet people, bro. Like you're going to a fucking night out and oh, but the beers are, like in Thailand, like the beers are only like 75 cents, bro. Like what the fuck are you doing with your life? Maybe I'm just different. Maybe it's just purpose. You see, when you've been watching all of this content of mine and you wanted to become more masculine, more purposeful, well, sometimes you have to make some sacrifices and you have to realize, well, one of the most masculine things I can do is fatherhood, and so why would I delay that and potentially make my chances of it either worse or the ability to have children even less if I'm just delaying it and delaying it and delaying it? Because this is exactly what the problem is with population collapse. Most couples these days are just waiting and waiting and waiting. Whether it's because you feel like you're not ready, or it's because you feel like you don't have enough money for the children. There's always going to be a reason to wait. And that is a massive issue. Because on average, in most countries, a couple, a couple, they're not replacing themselves. What this means is for like a couple to replace themselves and for our population to remain stable, on average, couples need to have 2.1 children. The 0.1 is just in case there's like a child dies every now and then or something. 2.1. Most couples around the world on average is like 1.6, which doesn't seem crazy, but what this means is there's going to be a very sharp decrease in the population. And you might think, okay, well, no, why are you talking about population as if it's like, you know, it's small? Like, it's not. We're overpopulated, aren't we? Think about it. What intelligent person actually said to you that we're overpopulated? It wasn't someone intelligent. It wasn't someone successful, actually, was it? Because go online and go and see what Jordan Peterson says. Is he telling people, yeah, don't have children and don't bring them into this horrid world and you know, the world's already overpopulated? Or is he looking at someone who says this and thinking they're kind of stupid because the world isn't populated? There's a few billion, there's like 7 billion people. You can fit everyone inside of like comfortably inside of one state in the US. Never mind the rest of the world. The world is not overpopulated at all. And you might think, oh, well, you know, for all these other reasons, well, the truth is, if we're not having children, it's us that will suffer the most. You're seeing this in countries that have an aging population. What that means is that there's less children and people are living healthier, longer lives, so that there's more elderly. So like the pyramid of people's age kind of looks like this. It's like there's less children here, like right there, that's the bottom. Few children, quite a lot of adults, and quite a lot of elderly people. What do you think's gonna happen? Because more and more people are gonna grow old, be elderly, strain the healthcare system, need support, and there's not gonna be the new line of young people to support them. You and I will live past 100 easily. I think on average, the average person, by the time that we're old, I think the average person will probably live till easily 90, 95, 100, the average person. We're going to be at the upper end of that range, right? Because we're doing the right things. Oh, but what if you got hit by a bus? Shut the fuck up. What if you got hit by a bus tomorrow, bro? Just shut up. We're going to live past the 100. I think easily 150, honestly, because whatever the upper range is, and the upper range isn't far from I think it's like 90 something right now. Add a lot more to it because the life expectancy is going up like crazy. Like when you think of people like Brian Johnson who are literally reversing aging, it's like if you're in this space, you're probably going to live very easily over 100, 120, maybe even 150. If you imagine that's 100 years from now, right? So let's just say 120. And I don't think that's crazy to say at all. When you and I are past 100, you're going to be hoping that you've got some children who are still looking after you. You're going to be hoping that you had enough wealth to be able to look out. Because how much money are you going to make in expectation to retire at a point when your brain and your body don't work as much? You're going to hope that you've got your bloodline who are helping support you, who respect you, right? But if you had this idea of, no, like, you know, children, oh, just go travel Europe, bro, like, oh, you know, go backpack across Thailand. And this is when everyone gets into, most people, and probably not our audience, but this is probably when everyone gets their little illogical thought of like, oh, well, whatever. When I get old, I'll just kill myself. Shut the fuck up, bro. Oh, but you know, I don't want to be old anyway, so just throw me in a ditch. Like, shut up. Yeah, now you're speaking with emotion, so shut up. The truth is, you're gonna live till you're old. Older than anyone in your generation, like older than anyone in your bloodline so far. And you're gonna hope that you've got people who are your blood, who are your children, who are your great-grandchildren, who are doing well in life so that they can support you. Because if we don't have that, that's where the population collapse becomes hugely problematic. Because if you've watched that movie or you heard of it, what's the movie? It's something about men. I forgot the movie. I haven't watched the movie in 3 years, by the way. It's about a movie of like, you can't have children and no one can have children anymore. It's just that's just it. People can't, like, everyone's infertile. And then the movie plot line is like, okay, some woman's pregnant or something, so that's crazy. Whoa, okay. But the idea is they might get no child of men or whatever the fuck it is, but they might come to an apocalyptic place where we genuinely can't have children, and that becomes like one of the most prized possessions. And everyone's just getting older and older and older. And the productivity of your country starts to decline as we all get older. People having children later in life. Women aren't having children at all. Like over 50% of women aren't having children by the time they turn 30, which is a statistic that has never been matched before. Half of women don't have a child at age 30. They're pursuing careers because they have to. Because we as men let the cancer of feminism come in, and we just forced our women out into the workplace because we were too weak to overcome this shit test. To know what would have been best for families, we let it happen. And now women need to work. And they don't need you anymore. Because one of the best things that the man used to be able to give to the woman was provision. He used to provide, and that we let feminists come in, we let the government replace us as fathers. And then couple that with like some bullshit modern day problems. Like, for example, in the UK, like, women are incentivized to divorce, and if they want to have children, for example, you get a tiny tax break if a couple marry and have a child. You have a pretty small tax break. If that couple divorce, the tax break and the benefits skyrocket for the single mother. There's almost an incentive to become like single parent, and you see that then the danger of that and how unideal it is, so less people are even inclined to have children. So the whole space is just messed up. I know that this isn't exactly a actionable step, but this is more like a lifelong plan to follow. Become very successful, make a lot of money, have a big family. When I see a good vision for my future, it isn't one of these red pill guys where I'm pretending to be a high value man smoking a cigar and I'm there in Dubai like handshaking people saying, yeah, networking's so cool, bro. It isn't one where I'm there with women who don't even like me, but they know that they're going to get a bunch of Instagram likes and I'm flying them out first class or private jets. And I'm like, yeah, this is success. This is crazy, guys. Look, this girl gets 1,000 likes on her Instagram picture. Whoa. That's not the life that I see as an ideal success for me. I just see social bond and community. I see me working on something that I feel is very purposeful. And then I see a big family around me. As many children as possible. Then we've got our support system, we've got extended family very close nearby. I'm buying houses of the same village and then literally just moving in families that I like so that they can be close to me. And I imagine that this is like so specific, but I want to live a life where I literally have like family after family after family all within 1 to 2 miles of me. And I've got my own land where I've been building houses and my extended family are moving in there. And people who I like a family man who I really respect, and I like his wife and I like his children, they move in and we all start to like form our own mini tribe. And everyone disciplines themselves to follow one rule, which is that we all meet up every single day at 5 p.m. to have dinner together. We have dinner next to a big fire, and it's like this community feeling which humans don't get these days. Like that, you've just solved most people's mental health problems. Like that, you've just gave people a purpose. You gave people a community to be around each other and actually share some good values, to feel important and needed. And that stuff gets deep, man, because if you've ever looked into like trauma before, there's such a thing called co-regulation, which is that your nervous system literally regulates and calms down if you're next to like good people who like you. And most people's nervous system these days is all out of the place. They're eating shit food. They're anxious when you're in the gym and there's like some meathead looking guy who looks kind of scary and he doesn't smile at you. It's like you live your life with this subtle twinge of anxiety 24/7. Even the guys who think that I'm just cool. I'm cool, bro. I don't even know what anxiety is. Like everyone's got like a 10% level of anxiety, probably even more these days, of just 24/7, because we don't have our communities anymore. And the reason why we don't is because we're deprioritizing having children. So I know that this is going to seem backwards, because what you may think, okay, this sounds good, but I need to make money first. This is where it gets interesting, because this is almost like a psychological hack. You'll make more money if you plan to be a father within the next few years. You want to know how I got to this point of success? You will not believe like how much success and how much money you're making. You won't believe it. It won't even fathom. Your brain couldn't comprehend it. And I don't say that to insult you. Your brain couldn't comprehend it. Guess how I made this much money? There was no handouts. My dad's a taxi driver. No one gave me money. I was stupid up until I was 23 years old. I couldn't even read properly. Till I was 23. I was on government welfare. Guess how I got here to this point now. And it's interesting because I still live at my parents' house. You probably would believe I'm broke, and I don't even blame you for that. But if you've found me to be a truthful man, the years that you've watched me, understand when I tell you that if you visualize a doctor, or a soon-to-be doctor, he's a young man and he's studying 10 hours a day in medical school, and he graduated, like, you know, year after year after year, he's studying, and then he gets his doctorate degree, and then he works as like this junior doctor for 5 years, 10 years, then now he's 35, then he works even more, he gets married, and then he's 40 something and he's become really successful. Then he opens up his own clinic, which is what like a lot of like the best sort of doctors and professionals do. They open up their own clinic and they make even more money. Imagine that guy who's worked for 20 years for this. Imagine 100 doctors do that exact same thing. All of them put together still make less money than I do. How did I get here? I convinced myself that I would have children in a few years, and I will make a crazy, stupid amount of money that majority of people will just simply not believe. It was with the thought that I'd probably have children within a few years. That's when I started. Because the thought of being this high value man, smoking cigars and getting like a fancy car and this watch, that never did anything for me. That took more things away from my life than it ever gave. That's not happiness, that is not success. That's an embarrassment. But family, countryside, nature, life and community, those are the things that I'll spend lavishly on. I'm buying not just a house, but land in cash. I'm buying multiple houses for the families that I love, just so they can be like a mile away from me. Because it's with fatherhood, when I started to genuinely think about the impact that life would and my work would have on my children, it's like everything just started to fall into place. Of course, I'm going to give you the disclaimer. If you're not going to be a good father, if you think you might be toxic or abusive, or you're on your own self-improvement journey. But it's just something to realize, like, if you add a bit of maturity to your goals and you realize, like, I'd probably have children within 3-4 years from now if I was rich enough for it. And you start to like calculate, and you burn that amount in your mind that you need 100k per month, or maybe just 100k per year, however much it is. And you start to think, yeah, you know what, if I made this much, my children's lives would be amazing. And then you start to really like obsess over that figure and that thought that, okay, I need to make this money for my children right now. How do I make it? What's the smartest, most efficient, most effective way to make it? What's the highest leverage that I can do? If you sacrificed everything apart from that goal, you'd get it in like 3 years. That's a quick side tangent, because I know that there's a lot of guys out there who do actually want to have children, but you're stuck with the financial aspect. I'm not saying to have a child and just make it work. I'm saying that you should actually just openly just admit to yourself, yeah, actually I would, like, the reason why I'm not having children is just because I'm too broke for it. I would happily have a child probably like within 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So I need to make money for it. Okay, shit. So I've got a deadline. Okay, so I need to make like I need to be making 100k a year, 100k a month, or whatever it is the figure is, within 2 years from now. You've got a deadline, you've got a goal. Now just sacrifice as much as possible for that goal. Because I think the possibility to be a father is just this kind of like second thought in most men's brain, which when you think about how important it would be, which is probably one of the most important things of your life, it shouldn't be the second thought. It shouldn't be this thing, oh yeah, man, after I go travel Europe with a fucking, but that's fucking cringe, bro. I don't know, you can tell, bro, I don't like traveling. I think traveling's exactly the part of the Matrix which everyone's telling you to, oh, get out of the Matrix, bro, go travel to Thailand, bro. You think the travel industry isn't part of the Matrix? Sorry for the tangent, man. Section 5.